Good evening. Welcome to TVB News. Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to visit China tomorrow. Beijing says the two nations will continue to strengthen their relationship, promote high-level development, as well as boosting global security. Timothy Lee reports.
With the Russian president's planned two-day visit to China kicking off tomorrow, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin will hold talks pertaining to mutual cooperation and issues surrounding geopolitics. This year also marks the 30th anniversary of China-Russia Strategic Partnership and the 25th anniversary of the China-Russia Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Education.
We'll take this opportunity to continue deepening and elevating relations between the two countries so as to inject more stability and positive energy to the world.
The Foreign Ministry spokesperson further says the new age of China-Russia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership will lead to healthy development in various sectors and benefit the peoples of both nations. Beijing added the partnership will also bring about global stability, peace, and justice. According to Xinhua News Agency, the China-Russia relationship remains unchanged amid complicated geopolitical conflicts. It emphasizes the two countries will continue to offer mutual assistance on the global stage and demonstrate the strength of its partnership to the rest of the world. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The White House has touted some of the outcomes from the Trump-Xi bilateral summit last week, including China's commitments to purchase $17 billion of farm goods from the United States through 2028. The U.S. Trade Representative says President Donald Trump is considering how to move forward on Taiwan arms sales as he focuses on maintaining the status quo in the Straits. According to a fact sheet released by the White House, the Chinese government has agreed to buy at least $17 billion worth of U.S. agricultural products annually in the next 3 years. That's on top of the country's soybean purchase commitments made in October 2025. The White House specified China plans to work with U.S. regulators to restore market access for U.S. beef and resume imports of poultry from states deemed as free of avian influenza. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer reportedly said he anticipates a double-digit increase in purchases of aggregate agricultural goods and that further details of the agreements would be released soon. In addition, the U.S. readout mentioned China has agreed to sign off on the purchase of 200 Boeing airplanes. It also said China will address U.S. concerns about supply chain shortages of rare earths and other critical minerals, as well as concerns regarding its prohibition or restriction of sales of rare earth production, technology and processing equipment. Confirming earlier statements from Beijing, the White House notes the two nations are to establish a Board of Trade and Board of Investment, which Foreign Minister Wang Yi said would seek to address concerns over market access for agricultural products and expand trade under a reciprocal tariff reduction framework. President Xi Jinping framed the Taiwan question as the top priority in China-U.S. relations during talks with his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump, and made clear clashes and even conflicts would arise if it was not handled properly. Trump subsequently waffled on a new $14 billion arms sales to Taiwan, warning the island not to expect unconditional U.S. military support. He told Fox News the package depends on China and could be used as a very good bargaining chip. Greer, meanwhile, told an ABC program on Sunday, while the U.S. policy aims to keep stable ties with China, there's no change in American policy on Taiwan. The trade representative said Trump would need to weigh many factors when considering how to move forward on the arms sales. When the president makes a decision on national security, it's really based on American security needs first, though, Greer said. During U.S. President Donald Trump's visit to China, foreign media reported the U.S. has approved the sale of NVIDIA H200 chips to 10 Chinese companies. Some academics believe the U.S. previously underestimated China's AI development and is now shifting its policy from containment to cooperation. Jackie Lin with the story.
This Beijing-based tech company specializes in generative engine optimization, or GEO, which helps businesses gain visibility in AI-generated content by integrating with AI platforms. Its CEO says using ChatGPT from the U.S. costs 5 to 6 times more than using China's DeepSeek, but ChatGPT is capable of handling more complex tasks.
假设给他一个这样的编程任务。
He says for coding tasks, overseas AI models can often produce a complete system in 1 or 2 attempts, while domestic models require more iterations. However, he believes the gap could close quickly over time, partly because earlier limitations were due to insufficient chips and computing power. That gap may now narrow after NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang's visit to China. Reuters later reported that the U.S. has approved exports of NVIDIA's second most powerful AI chip, the H200, to 10 Chinese firms. However, delivery has not yet occurred because of regulatory pressures on the Chinese side. Professor Wang Yiwei from Renmin University, specializing in international relations, said this move shows the U.S. is recalibrating its high-tech policy towards China. Strict export controls, he argued, have instead accelerated China's independent innovation in AI. He said the U.S. did not expect China to progress so quickly in core technologies. Once China develops its own chips, prices could drop dramatically, putting the U.S. at a disadvantage. He added that the U.S. tends to be pragmatic, summarizing the shift as... Jacqueline, TVB News.
Mainland car brand Hongqi plans to establish in a northern metropolis. The government hopes to attract industries to invest in the mega project, which is expected to become the new driver of Hong Kong's economic growth. Mimosa Ngai reports.
Hongqi, the mainland's homegrown car, is set to launch operations in Hong Kong. But the national automotive brand will not just open shops to sell cars in the city and has a bigger goal, to establish in the northern metropolis. Vincent Ho, a member of the Jilin Provincial Committee of the CPPCC, who has long hoped Hongqi can set up in the northern metropolis, says the brand should have an AI and data center there. He says the brand will focus on research and innovation in Hong Kong. I think the news is likely to be announced between late June and early July. A Hong Kong car sector's representative says the SAR can help the mainland brand enter the international market more easily if the city joins the manufacturing process. But local property developers doesn't seem to share such a large enthusiasm in investing in the government's mega project. Won Ho-ming, a legislator representing the real estate and construction sector, says the land within the northern metropolis are mainly designed for industries, while the property developers provide service. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
A 66-year-old woman has been found dead in her Shanshoupo unit. The woman was a diabetes and high blood pressure patient and lived with a 34-year-old daughter who suffers from schizophrenia. The incident happened at Fucheng Estate in Shanshoupo. Police received a report from the woman's eldest daughter at around 1:50 p.m. saying she had lost contact with the mother and sister. The police and firefighters arrived at the unit and found the mother had passed away on the sofa. The second daughter, who was present in the flat at the time, informed authorities her mother had already lost consciousness on the sofa on Saturday afternoon. The police didn't find suspicious injuries on the deceased body or any unusual signs in the flat. Authorities in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Uganda are scrambling to contain an Ebola outbreak. This after the World Health Organization declares it a public health emergency of international concern. Daniel Rao tells us more.
DRC Health Minister Samuel Roger Kamba says authorities already selected sites in Warampara and Mongwalu to establish new treatment centres, and that dozens of patients were receiving active care. Kamba was speaking in Bunia, where he arrived to check the setting up of treatment areas. Health officials in Bunia, one of the main cities affected by the outbreak in eastern DRC's Ituri province, say treatment centres are being expanded as hospitals struggle to cope with the growing number of patients. The measures follow the decision of the World Health Organization to declare an Ebola outbreak caused by a rare virus strain in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and neighboring Uganda a public health emergency of international concern after more than 300 suspected cases and 88 deaths. The WHO says the outbreak does not meet the criteria of a pandemic emergency like COVID-19 and advised against closing international borders. The earliest known suspected case involved a 59-year-old man who developed symptoms on April 24th and died at a hospital in the DRC's Ituri province on April 27th. By the time health authorities were first alerted to the outbreak on May 5th, 50 deaths had already been recorded according to Africa CDC. The World Health Organization says at least 4 healthcare workers showing Ebola symptoms had also died. WHO representative Ann Ansia said additional medical supplies were being airlifted into the country after emergency stockpiles in Kinshasa were depleted during the initial response. She says a C-130 cargo plane loaded with equipment was being prepared in Nairobi before heading to the DRC. General TV News.
Cuba is accusing the US of fabricating a fraudulent case to justify economic sanctions and potential military intervention. The minister's comments follow a report by Axios on Sunday, citing classified intelligence, which said Cuba had acquired more than 300 military drones. Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez says on a social media post that Cuba neither threatens or desires war. He further adds the country is preparing itself to confront external aggression in the exercise of the right to legitimate self-defense, as recognized by the UN Charter. The report alleges Havana had discussed plans to use them to attack the US naval base at Guantanamo Bay, US military vessels, and Key West, Florida. Rodriguez did not explicitly mention the drone allegations in his statement. The Chinese University of Hong Kong on Monday launches the city's first embodied AI lab. The site aims to promote the integration of artificial intelligence into robots, enabling them to interact with the physical world. Meet the city's first AI-powered dual-arm robotic platform. Equipped with multimodal sensors and a mobile manipulation system, this robot can handle automated household tasks. The robot is one of the innovations of the CUHK's Hong Kong Centre for Logistics Robotics, which also owns the lab. One of the purposes of the lab is to focus on technological research and real-world applications.
We collaborate closely with industry partners. Our industry partners provide real application scenarios. At the same time, the university contributes frontier research, top talents, and long-term innovation.
Restaurants in Hong Kong can now apply for a license that allows dogs inside. The first batch of permission is expected to be granted in mid-June, and the scheme will be launched in July. Samantha Lee speaks with some restaurant owners who are getting ready to welcome full-legged friends.
Paws, strollers and wagging tails. This is a typical weekday scene at a pet-friendly shopping mall in Kai Tak. However, when entering shops or non-pet zones of the mall, dogs must be kept inside a bag or stroller. Currently, owners can only sit in outdoors with their dogs. But by July, they can officially enter restaurant premises. Starting today, online applications for the license has opened for eateries. Besides filling out basic information, applicants are required to confirm the restaurant has a floor area of at least 20 square meters, that the property or mall allows dogs, and it is not a hot pot or barbecued restaurant. The government offers a maximum quota of 1,000 restaurants in the first phase. Places will be allocated by ballot if the number exceeds the quota. Edward Zhang, who owns this restaurant in Kai Tak, notes they have already submitted their application this morning. He plans to allocate 2/3 of the dining area to pets, separating big and small dogs from patrons who might be afraid. Extra staff will also be hired, and vacuum will be bought to keep the eatery clean and hygienic. For many pet owners, this is great news.
Some people in Hong Kong, they really they are afraid of dogs or they don't like dogs. So like if they bark, and then you can see them giving you the eyes that they don't like dogs. So sometimes I feel stressful to bring them outside. So if it's legal to eat inside the restaurants, then I'll feel okay, it's your problem that you don't like dogs.
Another dog owner, Ms. Wong, says summer is too hot for pets outside, and being able to go inside keeps them safe from running around. The Food and Environmental Hygiene Department will continue to hold briefing sections in the future to brief restaurant operators and other interested parties on application procedures and key requirements after obtaining the license. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.